Report. Happy Saturday. Hold on, guys. The camera's a bit crooked. Give me a second. I just noticed. There. Actually, it still looks crooked. Oh, well. What's up, guys? Happy Saturday. What is up? Hold on. What is up, Wendy, Tammy, Carol, D, Nice, Matthew, Delea, Lux, Joanne, Emily. How is everyone doing, and how is your weekend going? While we wait for people to trickle in, have any of you guys, I'm pretty sure some of you guys have been watching spooky things. I did get a chance to see It's Me, Billy Chapter 2. I enjoyed it. It is a short film by Dave McCrae here on YouTube. If you guys want to check it out, see, it's like a fan film for Black Christmas. So if you haven't seen Black Christmas, see Black Christmas first and then see It's Me, Billy. Give me a second here. I'll show you the screen. It's actually, I got a chance to see It's Me, Billy 2, which is the final chapter to It's Me, Billy. It is free here on YouTube. It is by Dave McCrae. If not the previous Mad Monster, but the Mad Monster before that, Dave McCrae was there because he was in another fan film, Darren's Nightmare, about Freddy Krueger, and he played Freddy Krueger. So if you guys want to check these out, they are actually pretty good. In fact, I'm for being a fan film on YouTube, I'm always impressed. I was impressed with the first one, and then this one was no different. It's better than some of those low budget horror films, to be honest with you. Like it's better than it. I mean, they're low budget, so is this, but it looked high budget. So if you guys want to check it out, like I said, it is free on YouTube. It's Me, Billy, Chapter 1, and then Chapter 2, which ends the first one. If you haven't seen Black Christmas, which I believe came out in 1974, I would suggest seeing those first before jumping into these. I did it backwards. I saw It's Me, Billy first, and then I do recommend these. They're free, which is the best part, and you're also supporting a content creator, Dave McCrae, which I think he's amazing. He's kind of funny too. If you check out his him on YouTube every once in a while, he's hilarious. Wendy goes, I take notes when Lisa drops her watch list. Also, too, if you guys are the theater going type of person, Terrifier 3 is in theaters. I personally, I'm going to wait for it to come out on a streaming service that I have. I'm not sure when. It seems like now movies are coming on streaming service like super fast. So I'm pretty sure within a month or two, it should be on streaming. If you guys are the ones that like to buy movies, Alien Romulus is on VOD now. I'm not sure when it's coming on streaming. I didn't see anything like a streaming service. I'm not sure which one it's going to be on because I'm not sure who owns what studio put out Alien Romulus, but it is on VOD. If you are that type of person that likes to buy video on demand, I'm not, unless it's something I really want to see. If you guys haven't seen Maxine and you have HBO Max, I did notice that Maxine and X are both on Max, but Pearl isn't. It is a trilogy. So if you haven't seen the other two, I would suggest waiting for Maxine. And Maxine is the weaker of the other two. I do like Pearl the best, and I did notice it was not on Max, unfortunately, and that's the best one. There's also Salem's Lot, which I haven't had a chance to watch yet because of all the things going on. As well as Teacup, which is a James Wan produced series on Peacock as well. If you have Peacock, Salem's Lot is on Max, if I forgot to say that. And I'm sure there's plenty of other places that have like old school horror movies as well. you're looking for a true crime doc, I got a chance to see the real the Menendez brothers, which is like a documentary of which is not the monsters, but it's more of a documentary, and kind of in their words, I finally got to see that. That is on Netflix. The Evil Within on Max is kind of cool. It's about knowing someone that kind of did something to unalive someone in your family. Kind of show if you're into that. And then also too, another true crime doc is The Real Murders on Elm Street, which is on Max. It's basically crimes that take place on Elm Street, so it's kind of cool. Different Elm Streets around the states, so it's kind of cool. So if you're looking for something true crime-ish to watch, I do recommend those. Brandon, welcome back to the Wolf Pack. I didn't know you weren't part of the Wolf Pack, but welcome back, Brandon. Hearts for Brandon. I got a new card, lost my time. Ah, okay. That makes sense. I was like, huh? Welcome, Brandon, back, guys. Thank you, Brandon. Tyrana, what is up? Lisa Boo, how's it going? Carol. Trying to make sure I don't miss anybody. And then also, too, I want to give a shout out for D Nice for her PayPal. She says, you're awesome. I hope you're doing okay. You, Lewis, and Mama Lecker are in my thoughts and prayers. Thank you, D Nice. I do appreciate that. Hearts for D Nice, guys, as well. Thank you, Brandon and D Nice. I feel weird in here. I do apologize. I'm not in my studio. I've been using the Nerd Report studios for a bit. And I feel so bad. I brought Skeleduck, guys, and I left him in the other room. So unfortunately, he is going to be with us in spirit. I didn't feel like walking all the way back to get him, but he's in the other part of the house, and I didn't feel like going back to get him. So he is with us in spirit today. But I did have him. I just forgot to bring him with me when I walked over here. Emily, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. Welcome, Sassy Gigi. I am Shailene, Wendy Corn, Mushroom, and Priscilla to the Wolf Pack. Hearts for Emily and all the new Wolf Pack members. Thank you, Emily. Lisa Boo goes on vacation for Skelly. D Dice goes, Lisa, you're forgiven. They are also, because you know how I feel about, before we get into the nitty gritty, guys, I'll wait a few more minutes for people to trickle in. I did see this. How many of you guys have seen American Psycho? I remember seeing this film in the theaters. It was during a time I used to go to the theater like all the time to see new movies. I would always go like when there's nobody in the theater. I don't know how I feel about this because I feel like Christian Bale did an amazing job as Patrick Bateman, I believe his name is in this. And I don't know how I feel about a remake. And I notice nowadays it seems like every film that, like a lot of classics, and I know this one's more this isn't a classic. I feel like this is more of like a cult film type of thing that people just love. And I liked it too when I saw it, and I Christian Bale did an amazing job. But I don't know what I feel about them making a readaptation from Suspiria director of American Psycho. And it seems like nowadays there are a lot of remakes and no originality. And I know a lot of films sometimes too come from fan films. That's why I like fan films a lot, because there is some originality to them. And some of them are amazing compared to like some of these high production films. But yeah, it's like I want something original, not a readaptation of American Psycho. Or I think Blumhouse is going to redo Blair Witch, or they're going to redo something else. And I'm like, I don't want to see redos. I want to see something new and exciting. I get why they're doing this. They're trying to bring that the older movies to the newer generation, but still, it's like it's like Sydney said in Scream, don't F with the original. You know what I mean? Like, leave them alone. Not to say that the Suspiria director is going to do a crappy job, but still, it's like, I don't know how I feel about this one. But how do you guys feel about it? Nerd Report goes, the original movies don't make money. Bernadette, what is up? Lisa Boo goes, Christian Bale was so good in it. He was amazing. And if you guys haven't seen this movie, I'm pretty sure, I think it's streaming somewhere. I did not look. I should have looked. But I'm pretty sure it's streaming somewhere. I know Lewis from Nerd Report has not seen this one. But if you have not seen it, check it out. It's pretty he does an amazing job in it. I'm also a fan of Christian Bale, so Joanne goes, if everyone already knows the story, they can concentrate on other effects. I mean, this is like a re-adaptation, so he's probably going to do it like the Suspiria's director is going to do it in his vision, probably. So it might not even be like the one that we know, but still, it's like, I still want to see different. I want to see something different. I mean, if it was a sequel or prequel to Patrick Bateman, then yeah, I'm in. But with Christian Bale in it, I'm in. I'd be wondering what Patrick Bateman was up to, but Nerd Report goes, everyone asks for original movies, then go watch Avenger Part 76. That's true. That's very true. Very true. Like, I'm still on the effect of just leave Patrick Bateman alone. I'm sure there's going to be fans of the original of American Psycho that are going to contest this. There's going to be people that are like, yeah, bring it on. There's going to be people that are going to see it regardless. Regardless. So, and Suspiria was not Suspiria. I've seen both Suspirias. Suspiria is kind of like a mind F, as I call them. It's more of a psychological thriller. I never really liked the original, and the newer one, which is like a remake of it, is kind of exactly the same, just with what's her face? I forgot her name. Dakota Johnson in it. Because I was going to say Dakota Johnson. So I'm sure, and the director for that did an amazing job. I just never really liked the film. I'm not much into, that's not like my favorite type of film. I like psychological horror, but to an extent. Chris, what is up? When he goes, read a ration can be amazing. Something to be said about an OG. Kyle goes, Marvel is up to what, 100 by now, right? Exactly, huh? But when I saw this, I was kind of disappointed, but I get it. Oh, also another thing, since I see it here, Smile, I forgot. Smile 2 is also out in theaters. And if you didn't know, I'm not going to give it away, but I'm going to show you a picture. Jack Nicholson's, if you're a fan of Jack Nicholson, his son is in it. So this is his son. But it is out in theaters, guys. So if you guys want to check it out and you're a theater going type of person, it is out in theaters. I know there's a few people that went out and saw it. I know there's some people that didn't like the first one and likes the second one. So if you guys want to see I saw the fan film of this because I believe this is based on a fan film, if I'm not mistaken. And I felt like the fan film was better than the actual first movie. Um, but that is Jack Nicholson's son, which is crazy because he looks just like his dad, Ray Nicholson. So I thought that was kind of cool. Because Jack Nicholson has that demented smile. If you guys have seen The Shining, you will know. And it's amazing how human genes work. He's like his mini me right there. It's crazy. Wendy goes, I'm Germish, but I miss the theater. I'm kind of like, I like to watch movies on the couch because when you know, like sometimes you have to use a restroom or you want a snack, you can pause it. Or sometimes there's something you got to do, you can come back to it type of thing. Like that's kind of like how I do in the movie theater. You kind of get the people, you got somebody, I know I say this all the time, but you get that person kick in the back of your chair. The cell phone user that can't put their cell phone down because it's glued to their hip type of person. So I just like watching them at home. D Nice goes, yeah, Jack Nicholson was also the Joker in the 1989 Batman, Tim Burton's as well. D Nice goes, I just watched The Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton before my walk today. Actually, you know what? You know what? I've seen that one. That one's not too bad. So that's kind of crazy looking. When I saw his picture, I was like, oh my God, he looks just like his dad. That's crazy. It's kind of cool that he's following in his dad's footsteps too. I think that's kind of cool when I see that. Hold on. Let me see if I can find one more before we get into. All right. This article, just imagine driving down the street, and this happened in Poland. This didn't happen here. And you're driving behind a hearse, and the corpse fell out of the hearse in traffic. And yes, this actually happened. This happened in Poland. They had to make an apology. I don't blame them. But I that must have been a sight. I hope no one ever has to witness this. I don't want to witness this. I know it was probably an accident, so I don't feel like it's something that was done on purpose to disrespect, anybody. But this is kind of odd. I have never seen that here. I hope no one has to see this. You definitely know the tabloids are going to pick up on it if it did happen here. But a funeral home in Poland issued an unusual apology on Saturday after a corpse that it was transporting fell out of a hearse and into traffic. And yes, that really did happen. I don't know. I feel sorry for that hearse driver. I would have been like, holy, oh my God. Like, what do you do in that situation? Like, oh my gosh. Because there's going to be so many people, especially now, because everyone has cell phones. So everyone's going to be like this. So, I mean, like, what do you do in that situation? It's crazy. I'd be stressing out for sure. Polish media reported that a man was driving down a street Friday in Stalowa Wola, a city in southeastern Poland, when he first saw a sheet of his car window. When the sheet slid down, he saw a body lying on the road. For a moment, the driver feared that he had hit the person. This is even worse. That would scare the crap out of me. Local media published an image of the corpse. What? Really? No, I don't want to see that. Of an image of the corpse lying on a white striped pedestrian crossing where it tumbled out of the hearse. The company transporting the corpse, Hades Funeral Services, issued a statement Saturday taking responsibility for the incident and blaming a technical failure of the hearse. What technical failure? Like usually you slide the casket in and it's like on like a roller sheet. Or when I say, I'm not exactly sure. I do remember when I used to work on cars way back in the day, we had a hearse. And I remember all the guys going, Lisa, sit in the back lay in the back of the hearse and we'll close the door. And I'm like, I'll do it. I don't give an F. I'll do it. And they were like, oh yeah, that's right. It's you. But if I'm not mistaken, because the one we had, I don't know if there's a similar. When I was working at a dealership, it had like a tray where you could pull it out. And then obviously a door where you could lock it. So technical difficulties, like the latch was faulty on the hearse, is the only thing I can think of. It is with deep regret that we inform you that as a result of an unexpected technical failure, just imagine the family of that person. And they put it on local media. Like, what the hell? The picture. Unexpected technical failure of the electric tailgate lock, bingo, and the hearse during the transport of the body of the deceased. An unfortunate event occurred. This does not reflect the high standards of our company, because it does make their company look bad now. Because now people are looking at them and going, hell no, I am not going to use Hades' funeral service after that. What happened? I don't blame them. I probably wouldn't either. But sometimes those things happen. Cars aren't perfect. This does not reflect the high standards of our company or deep empathy towards the family of the deceased and the respect we always show to the deceased. The company wrote in a statement posted on the website. It apologized to all those who were disappointed and upset by this event. And they did do an apology, which, I mean, it happens, but what do you do? I feel for that hearse driver. Like, what do you do in that situation when something like that happens? That is like one of your worst nightmares. Literally, that's like, and also too, it's one thing you probably think is not going to happen. Oh my gosh, I feel for the family of the person. I feel for all those people that were in traffic and had to see that, especially the person that had the sheet that went on their car, and the sheet, it was kind of something out of a horror movie. The sheet slowly came down and he saw what was in front of him. Oh my gosh, that is just like, yeah, something out of a horror movie, kind of. D Nice goes, girl, you know how much I wanted a hearse to be my first car in high school? Wendy goes, break out the orange cones, oopsie. Matthew wants an Echo 1A. That'd be so cool. Wendy goes, the corpse could have walked on the cross line. And ironically, it landed on the crosswalk. It's like something just like out of a movie. It's crazy. Carol goes, that was so weird. Wendy goes, been to a morgue a time or two, occupational hazard. Heather, whatever, what is up? D Nice goes, did you know the hearse in the line of the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland is a real retired vehicle? Some say there is a stain visible of what? Really? Matthew goes, someone please think of the children. Yeah, it was out in traffic on a Friday. I don't know what time. So there could have been families walking down the street. When I saw that article, I was like, oh my gosh. And I'm sure, I don't know if they're like that in Poland with the cell phone thing. I know here it would have been on TikTok. I don't think they're like that. Maybe Europeans are a bit different than we are, but but that is just, I feel for the hearse driver. I feel for the hearse company, and hopefully they were able to clean it up quickly. And without having too much ruckus and complaints. But that is just crazy. I couldn't believe what I saw when it popped up in my feed. Tirana goes, that would be so weird. I can imagine what the I can imagine what the driver went through, though. But things happen. Unfortunately, that happened at the wrong time, in the wrong place, where the tailgate didn't latch. It failed. It didn't lock like it should have been, and it opened. I'm thinking, though, even if it had an electronic latch, there should have been a mechanism, also like a safe lock kind of thing. So if something fails, it would still stay closed, but there'd be a way to open it regardless, like manually. There should have been something like that in it to prevent that from happening. So maybe Hearst is going to look into that after this. Joanne, I was thinking the same thing. Isn't the body usually in a coffin when in the hearse? I think the coffin, if I'm not mistaken, but it didn't say that. It just described that the sheet went onto a person's car, and then he saw. I'm assuming when the guy was driving in traffic, the latch came off. So the door opened. Obviously, the latch failed, so the door opened. So maybe when he made a stop, you know how your car goes forward, and sometimes it goes, you kind of get it might have fell out, because it might have had a thing when you open the door, like the tray moves. I'm not sure if that's how it works. So this is what I'm thinking. So when the door opened, the tray came forward. I'm not sure, like I said, if this and coffin and all its contents fell into the road, unfortunately. That is what I'm assuming. It did not say that in the article, so it's just my opinion. I'm not sure if that's exactly what happened or if that's how it works, but I'm assuming if you open the door, you either have to push on the tray to bring it out, or it might actually kind of push it open a little bit, so you can, like, it unlatches it when the door opens type thing, and it comes loose. So then it caused the coffin and its contents, unfortunately, to come out. Wendy goes, there should be a roller system out there. Hearst. Emily goes, I'm thinking it was a transit from the morgue to the funeral home. Possibility. That article was kind of vague. It didn't really give details, but it didn't really need to, because that situation, something out of the ordinary, crazy. So I feel like, just out of respect of the family members and all that article did a good job. But it's a possibility, Emily. Heather, whatever goes, hey, funeral home, duct tape, just saying, duct tape fixes everything. But I mean, if you don't know that's going to happen, then there's no way of preventing it. But I feel like, for future reference, hearse, or whoever makes the hearse, I don't know what company makes them, put a safety latch on to your tailgates. So that if the electronic locking mechanism fails, there's a fail safe to protect it from opening while you're driving the vehicle. Wendy goes, yet disturbing to consider. It is. It's just something I hope we never get to see here. I hope that doesn't happen here. I don't know if they have obviously it's in Poland, so they probably have a different distributor making those vehicles. So could have been something from there. But yeah. So it does happen. It does. I don't blame them for anything. But it does happen. It just happened to happen at the most opportune moment. All right, I've got some celebrity ghost experiences. I didn't really have a main topic today, so it's mostly going to be about ghost stories and all things spooky to that effect. But I do have some celebrity ghost stories. Demi Lovato, Jennifer Aniston, and more stars detail supernatural experiences that'll give you the chills. Do you believe in ghosts? With Halloween right around the corner, read what Ariana Grande, Jessica Chastain, Octavia Spencer, Vanessa Hudgens, and more have shared about their spiritual encounters. Telling ghost stories is one thing, but starring in your own, that's another. Over the years, several celebrities have shared their supernatural experiences. I know I have shared in the past of those celebrities that were brave enough to even admit that they had had a sexual experience with a ghost. In a previous stream, there's also women who marry ghosts as well. There's 2 to be exact. There's also people that marry dolls. So, yeah. Over the years, but nothing wrong with having a ghostly experience. Over the years, several celebrities have shared their supernatural experiences. Take Jessica Chastain, for instance, who described staying in a haunted house in London while filming the 2016 movie The Huntsman: Winter War. We were doing a lot of night scenes. The Oscar winner said on an episode of the Late 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 Show that year. And I came home. It was like 3:30 in the morning, which is like the bewitching hour. And I was tired. I had everything blacked out, the lights, and I had the one chandelier on a little bit. And as I started taking my clothes off to put my PJs on, the lights started to dim. And I thought, okay, I might be having a stroke. However, Jessica quickly realized that wasn't the case. Then every light in the room, even the bedside table, slowly started to go on. She continued, I swear to God. The Interstellar actress said she was in Interstellar? Oh, yeah, she was. Said she then heard a loud noise that she was on an alien spaceship and saw a white, or she then heard, a loud noise that she was on, I forgot to say like, she was on an alien spaceship and saw a white light before everything went pitch black. I said, I understand you are here and I don't want to kick you out. I'm just very tired, so please let me sleep. She added, it never happened again. Which is something I probably would have said. I would have been like, guys, I'm tired. She did the right thing, so that's kind of cool. D Nice goes, if the ghost was Kevin Bacon, I wouldn't mind. Sting, who is pictured above this on the right, Jessica Chastain is on the left. For those of you who do not know who they are. Sting, meanwhile, has detailed his own eerie encounter at his own home. I've lived in a 16th century manor house in England near Stonehenge. The police frontman told James Corden on another episode of his late night show in 2017. And if you haven't got a ghost in a 16th century manor house, you need one. Well, it sounds like he has one, as Sting recalled. He was in bed with his wife, Trudy Styler, when they saw a figure. I woke up, the rocker continued, and in the corner of the room, there was a woman standing with a baby. The mysterious being soon vanished, but it proved to be a pivotal moment for Sting. And then she disappeared, he added. I never believed in ghosts before that. If you're not hiding under the covers and want to celebrate Halloween early, keep scrolling to read what more stars have said about the run-ins with the spirits. Courtney Cox, which you should know from the Scream franchises, and also she was on Friends. The one where Courtney Cox shares a ghost story. The Friends star told Howard Stern she had a delivery man ring her doorbell and inform her of an unexpected guest. I answered it, got my package, and he said, do you know this house is haunted? Courtney said on a 2022 episode on his SiriusXM show. And I go, really? Why? He goes, because there's someone standing behind you. And what? And I thought, oh my, what would you do if someone said that? And then how does the delivery guy know that the house is haunted by the person standing behind her? Unless he has some gift. This wasn't her only spooky experience, however. Courtney also recalled a scare she had in London. I just gotten there, the Scream alum added. So yeah, I was a little jet lagged, but I wasn't sleeping. I was sitting there. I closed my eyes to try to sleep, and all of a sudden I saw these really scary faces, like old faces. I was like, okay, stop, you gotta go. And then all of a sudden I was like, Mom, Dad, Auntie M? I don't know. I just kept seeing all these weird things. After also seeing lights and a plant move, Courtney alerted her longtime love, Johnny McDade. I was like, Johnny, wake up. I'm seeing spirits, the actress added. And he had all these waves around him too. And he goes, Courtney, you're asleep. I said, no, I just woke you up. How can I be asleep? He said, he's like, well, I'm asleep. There are no ghosts. I did see them for sure. Ultimately, Courtney warded them off with a request. I said, thanks for visiting last night. That was fun. Do not come back tonight because I have to sleep, she said, and I didn't see them again. Matthew goes, I first saw Courtney on the show Misfits of Science and Master of the Universe. Matthew goes, if you don't know Sting, then you've been under a rock since the early 70s. D Nice goes, hoping Matthew Perry is not haunting any of the Friends alumni, keeping an eye out for a word for Courtney Cox because of her experience. She did have an experience. And she did mention, and I did share it on a previous stream, that she believes she's being visited by Matthew, which is sweet. I feel like that's sweet, because I take that as a sign of your loved one. It doesn't matter who it is. It could be a close friend is checking up on you and letting them know that you're okay. Wendy goes, a blessing or a curse. Chris goes, I saw your comment, but I had to figure out who you were talking about, Chris. Chris goes, Kevin hasn't aged well, but neither have I. I think some people age gracefully. Some people age really well. Some people just don't. Demi Lovato, Carol, I did see. Check your email. I don't on this computer though, Carol. On this computer, I don't have access to this email because I don't want to mess up what's already on here because I don't want to unlog, sign out anything on this computer. So I will share it. I'll try to pull it up. That way I can get the link and I'll share it on the next one. But I did get it, Carol. Thank you. And if you guys do have, you're wondering like what I'm talking about. If you guys have a website, like a website, a story, your own video, just make sure it's not a video on YouTube because I can't really show videos on YouTube because when we do that, it does flag the person that posted that video. And if they want to be a dick, they can flag me for it and say that I copyrighted or used it without their permission. Which has happened to Nerd Report, and it's happened to other people that I have seen too as well on YouTube. But if you do have a story, a link, a video, could be spooky related, could be UFO related. If you do have one and you think that I would find it interesting, I may share it on my next stream. Just email me at graysonreport13@gmail.com. And that's again, graysonreport13@gmail.com. Thank you, Carol. Carol goes, you could use them another time. Heather, whatever goes, my dog and I have to go to the store for more ice cream. I asked him and he said, yes, I'll be listening while I drive. Little Jack Sparrow will be curled on a heated car seat. That is so cute. D Nice Ghost, stay away from Botox. I do not plan on using it ever. I see people that use it. There's people that are already using it like in their late 30s. And I'm like, but I don't plan on using it. I am going to age gracefully. However the world wants me to age. Demi Lovato is confident her childhood home in Texas is haunted. When I was a little girl, my mom walked into the room and I was talking to something. The singer recalled on a 2013 episode of the Ellen DeGeneres show, and my mom was like, who are you talking to? I was like, it's the little girl in the picture frame. Her name is Emily. And then my little sister ended up doing that when she was around the same age. But this time she was like, it's the girl that lives in the closet. If the example didn't make you feel like you're having a heart attack, this one might. Demi remembered inviting friends over and telling them, watch, something will happen. And while pals would initially have their doubts, she said odd things would then occur, like when her buddy texted someone saying, I think this place is haunted, and the word definitely was sent back multiple times. He's like, why'd you send it so many times? The Grammy winner recounted. He goes, I didn't send it that many times. Still not convinced. Demi has more proof. My uncle actually was watching TV and all of a sudden a balloon floated down the stairs. She told Ellen DeGeneres, what balloon floats down, by the way, and then it turns the corner. What? Joey King, if you don't know who she is pictured above, or here, I should say, but will be above. While Joey King starred in The Conjuring as a kid, I can't believe they're making another is it a Conjuring? One of them. They're making another one of those Conjurings. I was like, what the heck? We don't need any more. I think it's a Conjuring. Or Insidious, one of those. I think Insidious ended with the last one, but it's one of the Conjuring universes that they're continuing. And I was like, we don't need any more. I don't want any more. That makes like Conjuring Part 20. This just reminded me because it's in The Conjuring. And the story, when the mom gets possessed, she gets all these bruises on her. The actress explains in the 2020 episode of The Howard Stern Show. And so during the filming of those particular scenes, I started having a lot of bruises show up on my body in bizarre places, like on my stomach, my chest. Like, what? Initially, Joey added the makeup artist thought she was stealing their fake bruises as a prank. They tried to take my real bruises off with rubbing alcohol and oil, the ACT alumni continued. I'm like, I'm telling you, I'm not lying. Joey then visited her doctor to get some blood tests. All of a sudden, I'm told that I have this blood thinning condition called ITP, where basically most of my red platelets drained from my body mysteriously, she shared. I'd never had a blood problem in the past. I've never had a blood problem since then. No one in my family has had that. As a result, Joey noted she has to go to the hospital twice a day while filming the 2013 horror movie. When I came home, my platelets were completely fine, the Kissing Booth star told Howard. Like, I was back up to normal numbers, and I've never since had a trace of that disorder ever. That is crazy. Ariana Grande, pictured above, in case you don't know who she is. Just keep breathing as you read about Ariana Grande's terrifying incident. The Grammy winner told Complex about the ghost demon experience she had in Kansas City in 2013. After staying in a haunted castle, Ariana said the next night we want to go to Stoll Cemetery, which is known as one of the 7 gates to hell on earth. I felt the sick, overwhelming feeling of negativity over the whole car, and we smelled sulfur, which is the sign of a demon, and there was a fly in the car randomly, which is another sign of a demon. She recalled to the outlet. I was like, this is scary. I am not sure if a fly is a sign of a demon, but I do know that they use that in movies. But I don't know if it's an actual sign. They also use crows as well, but I did read about crows, and they are like the bearer of the harbingers of doom. So I could see how that could be connected, but I'm not sure about the fly thing. I was like, this is scary. Let's leave. I rolled down the window before we left and said, we apologize. We didn't want to disrupt your peace. Then I took a picture, and there are 3 super distinct faces in the picture. They're faces of textbook demons. How do you know what the faces of a demon look like, girl? I don't even know what the faces of a demon look like. The thank you next. Not saying that she didn't have this experience, but I'm like, how do you know? Like, I'm questioning it. I don't even know what a face of a demon. I mean, I guess if you saw one, you would probably be able to feel, the vibe of it. And then definitely, yeah. But how do you know the faces of a textbook demon? The thank you next singer said she deleted the photo after she tried to send the pictures of her manager to her manager and got a message back that read, this file can't be sent. It's 666 megabytes. It's a lucky number. Come on. Ariana also remembered once seeing a huge black cloud beside her bed. I started crying. She added to complex. I was on the phone like, what do I do? What do I do? And they said, tell it to F off. I thought, I'm not going to do that. It's going to upset it. So I'm just going to chill and not feed into it because all it wants is fear. It feeds on fear. I watched it move to the front of my bed and then I fell asleep on the phone. I woke up and it was gone. D Nice goes, you know the best way to get plump lips? Play a brass instrument. I played the baritone euphonium in high school, had nice plump lips. Don't do the water bottle trend that was popular years ago. I think there's still people that do that though, D Nice. Matthew goes, it looks like 2 jumbo hot dogs. D Nice goes, the faces of a demon looks like a Teletubby. Though, you know what? Yes. Teletubbies. I'm sorry. Teletubbies scare the crap out of me, especially the music. Not that I ever watched it, but to me, that's like more scarier than a horror film. Matthew goes, I see the face of one in the mirror all the time. Carol goes, I've been all natural because I was allergic to so much makeup. It wasn't worth it to me. My issue is I break out a lot. So if I put anything on my face, I break out. Sometimes, like, honestly, like my beanies cause me to break out too as well. So it's like I try to put very little things on my face. Octavia Spencer, I loved her. She was in Divergent. She was the head of Amity. And she's a great actress. She was also in many other films I've seen her in as well. I can't think of them off the top, but she was in Ma, which was like a horror film. The Help, I think she was in. And some other movies that I can't remember, but she is an amazing actress. Truth be told, Octavia Spencer doesn't seem to mind having a spirit in her house. I grew up watching Westerns, she said on a 2021 episode of the Ellen DeGeneres show. I bought the house and it was owned by a guy who did Westerns, so I must have been a fan of his. I think he is my protector. I love him because he kind of sorts out the bad people that shouldn't be there. He runs them out. And if you're wondering how exactly the ghost runs them out, allow the Oscar winner to explain. I would not mind, like I said, I'm fine with living with spirits as long as they don't affect me. If they don't affect me, then what's the harm? If they're not bothering me, then what's the harm? I can live in harmony with them. I have no problem. If they stay at my place, they don't want to come back, she added. And that's how I know that they don't belong there. Because if you're a person that belongs there, everybody's like, oh, your place is so welcoming. It's so great. And that's how I feel about it. Although Octavia admitted her ghost can be shady if she's gone for a long time, such as by randomly closing doors and turning off the lights. And while the spirit is welcome, the hidden figures star made it clear she isn't offering an open invitation. I love my ghost, she noted. I just don't want you bringing your ghost to my house. I don't want anybody's ghost thinking they can be friends with my ghost, because my ghost can haunt me, but he doesn't haunt me. We have boundaries. Jennifer Aniston, who's pictured above in case for anyone who doesn't know who she is, Jennifer Aniston wasn't exactly friends with the ghost she said resided at her house she previously owned in LA. The dishwasher would start to go, or the coffee maker would start to go, or the stereo would just turn on at full volume, the Friends star told James Corden on a 2018 episode of the Late 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 Show, and it was terrifying. So Jennifer continued, someone suggested she call a specialist to clear the house of the spirit. I had someone come over to my house, the morning show actress shared. They had frankincense and they put it in a little dish and started saying all these things. And the first corner that she went to, the dish cracked. But that wasn't all. Jennifer recalled how a really thick 1975 ashtray that was sitting on the table also cracked, and that the specialist asked her to leave so she could talk to the spirit. As for what the spirit said, he hated my roommate, Jennifer replied, later adding she moved out and never told the roommate. I feel terrible, but I couldn't say it doesn't like you. I mean, that would be terrible. That's hilarious. Just imagine. Wendy goes, I don't mind spirits in my house as long as I'm protected, as to protect and leave me safe. D Nice goes, poltergeist. Here is what's her face? I forgot her name. Miley Cyrus. This is who she is. If you guys aren't familiar with her, it appears some ghosts can't be tamed. Just ask Miley Cyrus. The singer once spoke about a spirit she said lived in her house. I had a friend who a parent had passed away, she explained in a 2020 interview with Kiss FM's Jojo Wright. And when they did, they know how much I loved Elvis Presley and gave me all of their Elvis memorabilia. However, Miley said the memorabilia was destroyed when her Malibu house caught on fire in 2018. Oh, that sucks. In one of the rooms of her LA home, the Grammy winner had a photo of her friend's late mom. After that, which happened, she started visiting my house in LA. She added, it was like she kind of went up in the smoke of all this Elvis memorabilia. Miley said it was like the fire released her friend's late mom and she soon got rid of the picture. She smoked cigarettes and I could smell smoke coming from the guest room, which is where the photo is, she said. My dogs would go insane when I would be feeling it. My dogs would lose their mind. It actually happened only a couple of nights ago. I thought that I feel like saw her sitting on the couch kind of taunting my dogs, which is something she totally would have done, and my dogs were going nuts. Keanu Reeves, who we know, who plays Mr. John Wick, he did an amazing job in John Wick for not being a martial artist, trained from when he was very young, like a lot of the martial artists who, like Donnie Yen, for example, Scott Atkins, to name a few, who's done martial arts since they were young. He did an amazing job. I think he was trained by Tiger Chin, I think his name is, for The Matrix. And Tiger Chin, he's also an amazing martial artist as well. But I was so impressed with him in John Wick, and I go and exactly what I told you guys, for someone that was not trained since he was very young as a martial artist, he did an amazing job. You'll want to speed on over to hear Keanu Reeves' ghost story. The Matrix star once revealed an inexplicable experience he had at his family's New York apartment when he was 6 or 7 years old. There's a doorway, Keanu said on a 2014 episode of Jimmy Kimmel Live. I think I've told you the story before. All of a sudden, we're looking over there, and this jacket comes waving through the doorway, just an empty. There's no head, there's no body, there's no legs. It's just there, and it disappears. While the John Wick actor wasn't too freaked out, he said his nanny was. I was a little kid, and I was like, well, that was interesting, he remembered. And then I looked over at the nanny, and she's like, the jaw opened, and I'm like, oh, wow, so that was real. Oh, okay, wow, cool. Also, I think there's another John Wick, like a side story, Antebellum. I think it's called Antebellum. I did see the trailer. It looks amazing. It does have a female kind of in the starring role, and she looks like she kicks ass, like John Wick himself. Vanessa Hudgens. D-Nice goes, Keanu's breathtaking. No, D-Nice. It's like, what? I'm not going to say what Bernadette said. You guys can read it in the chat. But it's like, that's exactly what happened. Nothing wrong with that, D-Nice. D-Nice just loves Keanu Reeves. Nothing wrong with that. Matthew goes, I would not haunt Jennifer Aniston, but scare the crap out of anyone who would try to mess with her or anyone else I have to be attached to. Carol goes, if they leave me alone and don't bother me, they can stay. Matthew goes, it was when she was on an episode of Quantum Leap and Things Before Leprechaun. Oh, it's because I'm reading his... Matthew knew Jennifer with her original nose. That's kind of cool, Matthew. Vanessa Hudgens. Vanessa Hudgens isn't necessarily trying to break free from any spirits. In fact, the High School Musical alum appears to embrace her ability to connect. I've accepted the facts that I see things, she said on a 2022 episode of the Kelly Clarkson Show, and I hear things. One incident that bops to the top of Vanessa's mind happens with a pull-along duck toy when she was 8 years old. There was one of those on the dining room table. The Princess Switch actress continues, and I started walking, and it just started going alongside me. Now, Vanessa is trying to learn more. I kind of shut it down for a while because it's scary, she told Kelly Clarkson. The unknown is scary, but I recently was like, no, this is a gift and something that I have the ability to do so I'm going to lean into it. And I recently did my first real paranormal investigation with equipment and everything. That can be scary if you have a gift and you don't know. It can be scary and overwhelming. Hugh Grant, for anybody that doesn't know who he is, this is what he looks like. He's also going to come out on a movie. It's a horror film. I forgot the name of it. It hasn't come out yet. The Heretic. I don't know when that's coming out. November 8th is when it's coming out. If you guys haven't catched that trailer, he is in it. It's kind of like, it looks like it's going to be like a psychological type horror, maybe like a little mix. Hugh Grant, here's the story about a boy. Back in 2016, Hugh Grant said one of his sons would often stare into a corner of his room. Other people started seeing things. The actor, who is a father of 5, continued on the Late Late Show. Other kids would come and say, who's that little boy over there? Yeah, relations and nannies completely out of control. So Hugh decided to take action. I'm a rational person, well-educated, not an idiot. The love actually illume continued. I find myself ringing a Ghostbuster. He said the Ghostbuster then came to the house with some sticks. Her sticks went completely wild in his room. Hugh added, I'm wondering if those are divining rods. She said, oh, it's so strong in here. I think I might throw up. I think it was all bullocks. Then she burnt about 7 pounds of sage and banged a little drum, played an instrument or something and sang. And she said, all the spirits are gone. But were they? Hugh said he asked his son in the morning if he felt happier. He felt happier last night. He said, no, there was a little boy at my window. The Notting Hill Star added, so I think we need to move house now. Yeah, too haunted. Brian Cox, he is pictured here. The succession of events Brian Cox experiences years ago in Edinburgh, will give you the chills. I was just trying to go to sleep. I'm not sure what he was in. I'm not familiar with him. I was just trying to go to sleep and suddenly there was the rocking sound the actor recalled on a 2023 episode of the Jonathan Ross Show, and the chair started to rock, and it started to rock across the room in front of my bed. While the chair eventually stopped moving, Brian was still pretty freaked out by what he saw. By this time, I got myself right under the covers, he continued, because I thought, shite, this is effing awful. The Succession star managed to get some sleep, but was startled again the next morning. The chair was still there, he added, and the floor was covered in these scratch marks. What? That is crazy. I'm not sure what film or where he's from because I'm not familiar with him. He is Succession. It did say that, but I have never seen that. The Autopsy. Oh, he's in Braveheart, The Autopsy of Jane Doe, Troy, Red, Born Identity, Super Troopers. I am not familiar with that actor. Chris goes, I'd like a Keanu and Johnny sandwich. Wendy, it's not out yet. It's gonna The Heretic, it's gonna be released in theaters in November. Matthew goes, Striker and X-Men X2. Wasn't he in Braveheart? Yes, Chris. He was in Braveheart. I think if I saw him, like, I would, oh, that's the guy. I'm not familiar with his name. I know. I think it was last week. Was it last week that I talked about it? That Scream was inspired by the Gainesville Ripper, Danny Rowling, and that's where Kevin Williamson, the screenwriter, got the inspiration. Well, there was a chilling crime that unfortunately was inspired by Scream, by the movie Scream. Unfortunately. So this is the chilling crime of the Scream killers, the 16-year-olds who murdered their high school classmates, inspired by the movie Scream. So they were inspired by the movie Scream. And then the screenwriter to Scream was actually inspired by the Gainesville Ripper. On the night of September 22nd, 2006, in Pocatello, Idaho, 2 aspiring serial killers viciously stabbed their 16-year-old classmates to death. Their motive for the killings was to imitate the cult horror movies Scream and to go down in history for their heinous crimes. Who thinks of these things at that age? Honestly. Though Brian Draper and Tori Adamick only committed one murder from their death list, the Scream killers succeeded in their macabre goal. So here are the 2 they're not victims. I was going to say victims. Here's Brian Dapper and Tori Adamick. They're the ones that were inspired by the Scream movie. I don't know what goes through your mind when I honestly, when I was watching Scream, I wasn't even thinking of anything like that. So Casey Joe Studer was brutally murdered by Draper and Adamick, who then proceeded to record themselves celebrating what they had done. Like, what? It doesn't say how old these 2 are. I'm assuming they're the same age. So, like, 16. Like, what are you? Draper and Adamick had also filmed themselves plotting the murder, and they even captured footage of Studdert at school just hours before they killed her. The video evidence helped authorities prove the teenagers' guilt and put them in prison for life. Brian Draper and Tori Adamick's sinister plot to become infamous serial killers? Like who does this? Obviously, they did. Brian Draper and Tori Adamick met at Pocatello High School, and they became fast friends over their shared interest in film. According to The Sun, they enjoyed watching horror movies together, and Scream was one of their favorites. In September of 2006, at the beginning of their junior year, they decided to make their own film. It would document their attempt to emulate the mass killer in Scream by picking off their classmates one by one. The boys created a death list of potential targets, and Casey Joe Studdert was at the top of it. And why? She didn't deserve that. On September 21st, Draper and Adamick filmed themselves, and they filmed it, plotting Studdert's murder. According to the transcript by Parkman magazine, Draper began the recording by saying, "We found our victim, and sad as it may be, she's our friend, but you know what? We all have to make sacrifices. Our first victim is going to be Casey Studdert and her friends." They knew Studdert, I do apologize if I'm butchering her name, was going to be house sitting at her aunt's and uncle's house the following night, and they planned to kill any of her friends who were around as well. When Draper suggested picking them off one by one, Tori Adamick responded, "Why one by one? Why can't it be a slaughterhouse?" Like, holy crap, what's going through these kids' heads? You guys remember when you were 16? I watched horror films and I never thought of even doing this. Like, what? Brian Draper replied by saying, "We're going to go down in history. You're going to be just like Scream." And the very next night, they carried out their scheme. The Scream killers murdered Casey Joe Studdert. On the night of her murder, Casey Joe Studdert invited her boyfriend, Matt Beckham, to spend the evening at her aunt and uncle's house with her. She also invited over Brian Draper and Tori Adamick, and the four decided to watch a movie. The boys soon left, telling Studdert and Beckham that they were going to go to the local movie theater instead. But before they did, one of them sneaked downstairs and unlocked the basement door. Rather than go to the movies, Draper and Adamick changed into dark clothes and white masks and grabbed the K's they purchased from a pawn shop several weeks earlier. They then crept back into the house through the basement door and tried to lure Studdert and Beckham downstairs by making loud noises. Their initial plan failed, and instead of heading to the basement to investigate, Beckham called his mom to ask if he could spend the night with Studdert. She said no, but she told him that Studdert could come to their house. Studdert declined as she didn't want to let her aunt and uncle down, and Beckham's mother picked him up at 10:30. Shortly after, Draper and Adamick went upstairs and did unalived Casey Joe Studdert approximately 30 times. What? 12 of the wounds proved to be fatal, striking the right ventricle of her heart, and she quickly bled out. The boys then fled the scene. They returned to their car around 11:30 p.m. and filmed their reaction to what they had just done. Brian Draper told the camera, "I stabbed her in the throat and I saw her lifeless body. It just disappeared. Dude, I just killed Casey." Chris was like, "I just wanted to smoke pot when I was 16. Heather Whatever goes, 16 was all about my boyfriend. D Nice goes, "That's mental." Exactly. Like, when I was 16, I wasn't even thinking about, like, who thinks of those things at 16? Wendy goes, "Sheesh, impressionable, misdirected minds. What the hell, if true?" Yeah, like, how is their upbringing? Because this article isn't going to tell us, but how was it? Carol goes, "That sounds so wrong with these kids. Something definitely wrong with them." Exactly. Like, 16. It didn't say their age, but it did say the age of their friend, and I'm assuming they're about the same age. Like, Carol goes, "Boyfriend and smoking weed with a little drinking too when I was 16. So none of us is like plotting a movie like Scream and filming it, for that matter. Heather Whatever, I do agree, something was off. Like, no one does this that has like a sane, that has a sane mind. You know what I mean? Brian Draper and Tori Adamick were interviewed by police several days later after Beckham informed authorities that they had been some of the last people to see Stewart alive. Draper stuck to the story that he and Adamick had gone to the movie theater, but he couldn't describe the plot of the film they reportedly seen. Neither could Adamick. Brian Draper broke first. He told police that it was all supposed to be a joke and that he was surprised when Adamick actually started stabbing Stewart. Draper led authorities to Black Rock Canyon, where the teens had disposed of their clothes, masks, weapons, and camera. They had attempted to burn the videotapes of their grisly confession, but investigators were able to recover the footage and used it to charge the boys with murder. Brian Draper is on the left and Tori Adamick on the right. They received life sentences for their crimes. Although they were both under the age of 18 at the time, Brian Draper and Tori Adamick were tried as adults. The incriminating video was shown to the jury during Draper's trial. His defense claimed that the tape was only recorded for a horror movie that the teenagers were planning to make. As reported by KPVI, the boys were both found guilty of homicide and conspiracy to commit murder and received the same sentence, life in prison. The Scream killers were caught. I mean, they wanted to be known in history for their heinous crimes. Now they are. The Scream killers were caught before they were able to carry out any more murders from their extensive death list. Sadly, justice came too late to save Casey Joe Stewart. That is sad. They are going to pay for their crime. They did get life in sentence, but it is life. They're getting life in prison. Life in sentence. Oh my God, Lisa. Life in prison for their crime. But like I said, a lot of you had said what you were doing at 16. I was definitely not thinking of what these boys were thinking. I do not know what their background is, so I can't really justify as to why this was done, what was going through their head, but it makes me wonder at such a young age, how is this happening? D Nice goes, viewer discretion is advised. Definitely. D Nice, so stupid. Probably Chris goes, it was easy to get beer. Like, what? Yeah, it was actually, Chris, even though I was super young. But I know when I was young, it was a lot easier to get alcohol than it is now. Lisa Boo goes, wow, that's wild. Tyrana, I do agree, that's so sick. D Nice is saying neglect possibility, but unfortunately there's no backstory for these boys. I do hope that they do learn from their mistake and do, if it is something to do with their mental health, I hope they do get help as well while they're in prison, because that is just it is sad that is happening. Let me see which one to click. I'm gonna click on this article because I think the article's kind of all right. I kind of think, because I have talked about this in the past. I don't know if she's meant to. This is on the Guardian. I tried to get jiggy with a ghost. DZ made Cooper's adventure with the afterlife. I have spoke about that on previous streams about the two women that one of them married a ghost pirate, another one married a Victorian soldier. Both of them are now divorced, for obvious reasons. I don't think I would have ever admitted that I married a ghost, but these two women did. In an exclusive extract from her book, the This Country creator recalls how she tried to get it on with a spook. People think you're mad. Read an interview with Daisy Mae Cooper. When I was younger, I don't even know who Daisy Mae Cooper is. Who is Daisy Mae Cooper? Probably something I should have looked up before. She is an English actress and writer. She won a 2018 BAFTA TV Award for Best Female Comedian Performance for playing Carrie Mucklow in BBC Three series This Country, which it did say, but I'm not familiar with the country, which she co-created and co-wrote with her younger brother, Charlie Cooper. Okay. So when I was younger, I had a recurrent vision. The one day I would be visited by someone or something from the paranormal. Whenever I was caught nicking sweets from the downstairs cupboard and stashing them behind my bed, Mum warned, I can't always see what you're up to, Daisy, but Granny Birdie can. It was a horrifying thought. The idea that my dearly departed grandmother was watching everything I did filled me with dread, especially as a teenager. Taking my first intoxicating draw on a FAG. We don't call it FAG here. We call it, I don't want to say it because it's a derogatory term here. Kind of a SIG in the park, sneaking out of my window to snog my first goth boyfriend. I was so worried about Granny Birdie watching me from the other side that I refused to wank off Mark Jones at the back of the Dodgems at Cirencester Mop Fair circa 2000. I probably butchered that. I apologize. He dumped me, but honestly, it was a relief. No grandmother needs to witness that, regardless of whether she's a spirit or not. Talk about killing the mood. Decades later, my preoccupation with the paranormal shifted from horrors at the possibility of being observed by ghosts to excitement at the prospects of dating one. What? I read that in China, ghost marriages are regularly practiced when someone dies before a planned marriage takes place to avoid spirits wreaking havoc. I did speak about this before. It is legal in China to marry a ghost, and it's usually so that the spirit may have a better life in the afterlife. I do like some of the Asian, I am half Asian myself, and I do like some of the Asian beliefs. They're more spiritual based, I feel like, than we are. And so you are allowed, I think in France too, you are allowed to marry someone who has passed. And it's said so that that person can have a better life in the afterlife or won't be alone as well. I read that in China, ghost marriages are regularly practiced when someone dies before a planned marriage takes place to avoid spirits wreaking havoc. But this is where it gets effing weird. In the ceremony, a white rooster stands in for the groom and later gets to turn up to any dealings with the groom's family. I cannot even begin to imagine what the wedding photographs would turn out like or how the rooster conducts those all-important negotiations. Cock-a-doodle-doo for a yes. S appellant for no. And I S you not, France is one of the few countries where marrying a dead person is totally legal as well. For this to happen, the living must prove that the couple intended to marry before one half unceremoniously dumped the other by gasping their last breath. The law sounds like it's a hangover from ancient times, but it isn't. Unbelievably, it was only introduced in 1959 after a vast dam on the French Riviera collapsed, drowning more than 400 people. And you know what the best thing is? Before almost all these ceremonies, you could still write a wedding list. Just because your betrothed isn't actually breathing, it doesn't mean you have to miss out on a thick sliced toaster or George Foreman grill that will get shoved in a cupboard, never to see the light of day. I feel like she could have used different words, though, to describe that, because it's kind of, yeah, I feel like it may seem strange to us, but to them, it's kind of sacred. So I feel like the way she explains it's kind of like she's kind of being, trying to be funny when she shouldn't be funny. According to my research, extramarital sex with a paranormal entity is also surprisingly common. It's even got a name, spectrophilia. Apparently, some people are able to manifest the ghost of their dreams and have a effing great time with them. And that's how, in a spirit of inquiry moment, I attempted to get jiggy with a ghost. Admittedly, it was hard to know how to say. I mean, who admits getting jiggy with a ghost? There's been plenty. Admittedly, it's hard to know how to set the mood, and when you're a busy working mom, it's difficult to fit in an encounter with anyone, let alone the other realm. Am I right? I decided a weekday mid-afternoon rendezvous was probably my only chance to squeeze in between a Tesco shop and banging some turkey drummers into the oven ready for my kids to come home from school. Did I need to wear anything sexy? Probably not. I figured that a ghost would be able to undress me and pass through me any way it wanted. Wasted effort to get out my plunged bra and matching knickers. Besides, I didn't want to look desperate. I opted for my pink Barbie sweatshirt and cotton lounging shorts. I needed something to loosen me up a bit, so I sat in the kitchen for half an hour with a glass or 3 of wine, listening to I'll Make Love to You by Boyz II Men on repeat. Then it was time. Upstairs, I drew the curtains and lit a cup. I wonder if this actually happened to her, or is she just making this up? What do you guys think? Upstairs, I drew the curtains and lit a couple of candles. Nice soft lighting. What's next? Or shite, what's next? I had taken some notes from mediums I'd read online. They advised lying on my back and doing some yoga breathing. Not one described how I should lie. Legs akimbo in an open, all hours kind of way. Was that too forward, maybe, or clamped shut? Was that too straight-laced? Effing hell, this was turning out to be a minefield. And if I did get a visitation, I hope to God it wasn't a ghost with a weird kink. I've been there already and it didn't end well. That particular boyfriend loves being an inanimate object, a coat hanger, a footstool, a human rug I'd have to walk over in Primsmark stilettos. It did give him a massive, I'm not going to say, but it got tedious after a while. She is freaking Many of the online articles I've read suggested that I imagine my ghostly lover. I shut my eyes and tried to conjure up my ideal ghost. I flirted with the idea of a Viking, but I stopped myself. On balance, I wasn't sure I wanted to summon someone who considered plunder and pillage simply a warming up on a weekday afternoon. All the advice was keep it light, think Daisy, think. Eventually, I got it. I don't know why I hadn't thought of him before. Ben Shepherd. He'd be a real gent, too. Some mediums recommended some light chanting. I closed my eyes again and took a deep breath. Ben, if you can hear this, come to me. I felt absolutely nothing other than creeping humiliation and rising anxiety. Suddenly, I heard a weird crackling from the corner of the room. It was one of the candles. The wick had burned right down. Any longer, and it could leave a massive scorch mark on my dressing table and possibly set fire to my curtains. I leaped up and blew it out. Then it dawned on me, Ben Shepherd is very much alive. Why would he want to visit me in a ghostly form? Brandon goes, am I hearing a Daniel Steele romantic novel? Carol goes, obsessive much? Wendy goes, this took a weird turn. It did. Lisa Boo goes, Grayson Report after dark. Carol goes, that was a little strange with the comparison. Heather whatever goes, oh, that won't freak Rennie out. Matthew Colburn goes, an ectoplasm, my hall class. Back to the drawing board. Should I is it almost done? Yeah, it's almost done. I'll finish it. Because I was like halfway through it, this is Grace Report After Dark. It's getting triple X here. Back to the drawing board. I searched the recess of my mind and alighted upon a dreamboat Victorian ghost. Sideburns the size of a small rodent could really do it for me. What? Dick Van Dyke to my Mary Poppins. At last I was in the zone. Spirit come to me. Suddenly I felt a tingle in the back of my left foot. Could this be the way my spirit lover announces himself? Maybe I conjured a ghost with a foot fetish. What the hell am I reading? I felt the tingle again. No, it was in the exact spot where I'd bazookaed a Veruca the night before. What the hell is she talking about? I lay there for a further 5 minutes, but sadly, I still wasn't feeling anything. Apparently, one of the barriers to experiencing ghost sex is if you don't believe enough, but I did, and I still do believe. I really believe. 10 minutes after that, I felt the sudden urge to get up and go for a. I don't know why she has to tell the world this. It seems to interrupt the magic, and as I sat on the toilet, I realized that the moment was probably over. I couldn't help feeling a weighty ping of rejection, though. Jesus, not even a ghost wants to. What? So if you guys want to check this out, her book, it's Daisy Mae Cooper's Hexy Biatch, Tales from My Life, the Afterlife and Beyond. It's coming out on October 24th, I believe, in England. You'll probably be able to find it here. Yes. Remind me to not read her stuff. Yeah, Tammy, I'm like, wow. D Nice goes Vin Diesel triple. Brandon goes, my grandma had those books, so that's what I had to read after school. No. Nonetheless, that was some light reading that I wasn't expecting. Chris is like, I'll pass. I go, me too. That was some light reading I wasn't expecting. No. I mean, no. I was thinking, should I give it a chance? No. All right, I got one more article, and then I will open it up for Lisa Boo. I was laughing at that. The rodent sideburns. Bernadette goes, so the ghost ghosted her? Yes, it did. But the way she described it, I don't blame the ghost for ghosting her. Wendy goes, spicy and seasoned. Bernadette goes, after hours with Lisa. Chris Burns goes, Chris Barber goes, I didn't know rodents had sideburns. That was your Grayson Report After Dark. Now back to our regularly scheduled programming. 4 decades before Salem, there were witch trials in Connecticut. I think most of us know about the Salem's witch trial. I've kind of found this interesting because I don't hear many people talking about the ones in Connecticut. Those involved with the Connecticut witch trials exoneration project would like to see a permanent memorial. It's one of the oldest documented parts of our state's history and also one of the darkest. The Connecticut witch trials occurred from 1647 to 1663, more than 4 decades before the trial in Salem, Massachusetts. The witch trials in Connecticut were extremely deadly. The first 7 people who were accused and then indicted were convicted and subsequently hanged 7 for 7. That's a brutal history, said Beth Caruso, a member of the Connecticut Witch Trial Exoneration Project. And I feel for these people because a lot of these people probably didn't do anything wrong. Back then, if you believed in something different, if you did something strange, if you healed somebody using something, they automatically assumed you were a witch. So I feel for a lot of these people because I feel like they were innocent. I don't feel like none of these people, even these 7 people that were convicted of being a witch, were witches. Of the accused, 34 people were indicted and 11 were executed for witchcraft. While Salem is famous for its witch trials, Connecticut's history is a story not often told. Salem was the tail end. It was the grand finale of the witch trials. Caruso said everything that led up to it started in Connecticut. It's been kind of on the down low in Connecticut, not really talking about it. True, because I've never really heard about it. They usually just always talk about the Salem witch trials. Author and researcher Beth Caruso lives in Windsor, where the first documented victim, Alice Young, or Elise Alice, I guess she spells it Lise, Young, was from. I learned about Alice Young through a neighbor. Not a lot was known about her. It drove me crazy. I wanted to learn more, she said. Caruso combed through property records, birth, and death certificates, piecing together what happened to Young. She found that in 1647, there was an influenza epidemic in town. She was probably accused because of this epidemic and this huge cluster of deaths right next door to her, where 4 children died and her one child survived, Caruso explained. Like I said, if something strange happened, they automatically accused you of being a witch. Young was ultimately accused of being a witch, and Caruso said she was aged in Hartford. We're not sure exactly where she adds, or we're not exactly sure. We're not sure exactly where she adds. Some people speculate it was near the old state house. It's Young's case that sparked the hysteria, and some believe she was the first victim not only in Connecticut, but in all of the colonies. The witch trials really did start with Alice in the more gruesome forms. There were some witch trials in the colonies before Alice Young, but they never led to the H-ing, Caruso said. It was her case that really opened the floodgates for the injustice. After Young, a second woman was accused in Windsor. Lydia Gilbert, which is a strange case. She was accused of doing witchcraft on a pew-pew that somebody else had misfired that led to a death, Caruso said. Which, she's innocent. It was... Caruso and others pushed to have both women honored by the town of Windsor. Today, the Justice Room of Windsor Town Hall is named in their honor, and their names are etched into bricks that are displayed in a memorial near Town Hall, which they should be. I feel like those 2 women didn't deserve what happened to them. But their stories were just the beginning. During the Hartford witchcraft panic of 1662 to 1663, 11 people were accused of witchcraft and 4 were executed, said historian Catherine Herms. People were accused of being witches across the colony of Connecticut, from Wethersfield, Farmington, and Hartford down to southern Connecticut in the Stratford area. Goody Bassett and Goody Knapp, who were in the southern regions of Connecticut, they were aged in that area, in the Stratford area, Caruso said. Connecticut's colonial law listed witchcraft as a capital crime. The definition of a witch back then was very different than what a modern person might think of. What these people were accused of were aligning with Satan to do real harm to their communities, Caruso explained. The hysteria that sparked the witch trials happened during an unsettled time in history when Governor John Winthrop Jr. was overseas in England. He was obtaining a charter which united the New Hampshire and Connecticut colonies. Herm said this was something that not everybody wanted, and it was a time that stirred up a lot of feelings of anxiety. What would happen? Would the king take it away? Winthrop aimed to ease the panic by putting more parameters around the witch trials, making it so 2 people had to step forward as witnesses to witchcraft. These researchers explained he didn't believe that they could actually do the things they were accused of, Caruso said, such as changing the weather, making a bridge go out, causing a pandemic. It just didn't make sense of him. So he started to argue against these cases. We're lucky we had John Winthrop Jr., or it would have gotten much worse in Connecticut. It wasn't until 300 years later when the Connecticut Witch Trial Exoneration Project formed and set out on a quest to right these wrongs. They brought in State Representative Jane Garraby and drafted a resolution. For these families, it is very serious, Garraby said. I keep hearing from people all over the country, even from England and Scotland, and people who were descendants, and there was one from Pennsylvania, she said. What do I tell my daughter and granddaughter about their 9th generation grandmother that you know what happened to her? Senator Saad Anwar, I mean, you can't really change history, unfortunately, but you can tell their story. Senator Saad Anwar, who came on board on the Senate side, and although they faced some opposition, it passed 33-1 in the Senate and 121-30 in the House in May of 23. Advocates believe there's more to be done, like keeping the history alive. In August, the first ever Connecticut Witch Trial Festival was held on Pratt Street to do just that, educate people about what happened here in the 1600s. These people were put to death for just being different, said organizer Thomas Grumley. Yeah, they were basically innocent people, and because they were different, they did something different. Something happened around them. They assumed that they were a witch, and it's sad. That's why we wanted to have the festival. We wanted to bring more knowledge for people, because when you say, "Hey, did you hear about the Connecticut?" Nobody knows, but you say Salem, everybody knows. Very true. During the season when witches are top of mind, these advocates say it's important to also keep in mind the history and what can happen when things get out of hand. In present day, we can see certain groups, immigrants being scapegoat, lies being told, and then with actual harmful consequences. Caruso said, it's not so much that history repeats itself, it's that human nature responds to crises in very similar ways. And in times of crisis, it's natural to turn to the underdog in society, the marginalized, the people easy to scapegoat. Herms asked, I think we always learn a lesson. This is weird over here to the right because it has like credits. I think we always learn a lesson from what happens. The witchcraft trials in Connecticut and elsewhere targeted the poor. They targeted women, not exclusively, but mostly. They focused on evidence that was very speculative, if not actually spectral, and evidence that today would, of course, no longer be accepted in court of law. Those involved with the Connecticut Witch Trial Exoneration Project would like to see a permanent memorial in Hartford to honor the lives lost and lives affected by the trials. That is pretty cool. And like I said, I have never heard of the Connecticut Witch Trial. So it's kind of cool that they are doing a festival to bring awareness to it, because these people did not deserve to die, as well as the people who were accused of being witches in Salem as well. They did not deserve to die. These were normal people that were just different or happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And it's sad. It is part of our history, unfortunately, but Wendy goes, who pays the alimony? Wendy goes, the Scarlet Letter was mandatory reading in high school. I don't think I had. I think by the time I was in high school, we didn't have to read the Scarlet Letter. Thank goodness. I know. I remember it was when I was younger, but I don't think I had to read it. I don't remember having to read it. Carol goes, if you saw my brother, you would think he was a werewolf romance novel type. Wendy goes, New England has its history. Wendy goes, if you practice medicinal herbs and healing holistically, you could be accused of witchcraft. That too. If you believe that, very true. Carol heard of these witch trials when she was in junior high school. That is awesome. Carol's originally from Connecticut. That makes sense, because I was like, wait a minute, that's kind of cool that you heard about it in high school. Matthew goes, I went to Salem in middle school on a middle school trip going to Washington, D.C. Heather, whatever saying, it's been suggested that in Salem there was weird things growing or in the water, something toxic. Maybe, I don't know. I have not heard anything, so I don't know. But with that being said, guys, I am going to open it up for questions. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Also want to give a shout out to Heather Whatever for your PayPal hearts for Heather Whatever, guys. Thank you, Heather Whatever. She goes, just because. Thank you, Heather Whatever. You're awesome. Hearts for Heather Whatever, guys. Heather Whatever also says, I never wanted to learn about it, and then my mom told me who I was related to. I still don't want to learn more. Carol goes, how is Mama Lekka doing? I don't know if Lewis wants to have me say too much. I'll kind of wait for him to let you all know. I do know that she is, I'll give like a little, she is out of surgery and she is recovering right now. But I don't want to give too much because I don't know how much he wants out because it's not my information to kind of give out. But please, prayers to Mama Lekka as she recovers. From a broken ankle, guys. And for a speedy recovery as well. And also, if you're curious, he has been posting on the socials about it for updates as well. Nerd Report goes, I will address the situation later, but thanks for all the love. But please send your positive vibes and prayers her way. I know a lot of you have done so. Lewis does appreciate it. But continue adding her to your prayers, or I know there's a lot of people that believe in different things. So to your prayers, to your positive vibing. Carol goes, I just wanted to make sure she's doing well, and you answered my question. No problem, Carol. Unfortunately, guys, as I said at the beginning, I do not have Skeleduck with me, so I was unable to hide him. I left him in the other room, but he is with us in spirit. I'll picture him here. I'll be sure to bring him next time. I did bring him. I just forgot to bring him in the room with me. Doy. It happens. So I couldn't hide him. I was so mad. I was like, oh. Wendy goes, Pinchy is taking a much needed nap. He is with his brother. They both are. Carol goes, don't forget, Lewis, take a little time for yourself. Taking care of someone is stressful. Praying you stay healthy through this, Lewis. Chris Barber goes, I thought you just hit him real good. I can hide him, but not that great. I'll make it up to you guys next stream. All right, guys, do you guys have any last minute questions? Lisa Boo, thank you, Lisa Boo. I appreciate that. Thank you, Lisa. It's been a great show and love the stories, even the Grayson Report After Dark. Thank you, Lisa Boo. I appreciate that. That article came out of nowhere. It was an interesting article, but Brandon, I do what? Pato? That almost sounds like a bad word. The Spanish word for duck? D-Nice is asking, when am I spinning again? I was thinking about tonight, but we'll see. We'll see. But if you guys head over to the trip, I was going to go on tonight, but we'll see. If you guys want to catch me spinning on Twitch, D-Nice has dropped the link in the chat. Please follow me there. If you guys, I tend to play mostly techno. That is my and I try to play house every once in a while, but I just have fun with techno, and I just have fun with it. I don't know, it's funner for me. I call it like vampire music, so that's probably why I just enjoy it more. Thank you, Tyrana. Great stories, Carol. Great stories. Thank you, Carol. I also do have merch for both Grayson Report and for my DJ. So if you guys want to pick that up, D Nice has dropped the link in the chat as well. If you guys have no other questions, I am going to, let me make sure I don't forget anybody. Carol, I will share your links when I'm on my other computer, or I'll see if I can get the links and then paste it if I end up being on this computer so I can share them, because I don't want to mess up any of the settings on this computer. And then with that, guys, I am going to end the stream here. Thank you for joining me on this edition of Grayson Report. I will see you on the next one, which will be Monday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time or 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be squared. Be there or be squared. Stay spooky, guys, and sweet nightmares. Have a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you on the next one. Good night, guys. See you on the next one. Good night, guys. Thank you.